Everyone. It's wonderful to see your faces virtually. I realize this was probably not the way you expected to attend career fairs ever, and not the way you expected to finish this academic year. So we really appreciate your flexibility, and congratulations as well to those of you who are graduating and kind of going through this experience in a very new way. I hope that you all are staying well and safe and sane at home, and doing the best you can there. So Jem and I are excited to get the chance to speak with you today. I think this is actually our second virtual career fair. So it's a lot of fun to connect with you all, even though it is just through a screen. But we're excited to get the chance to learn about you a little bit more and share a little bit about our school. In terms of questions, we'll pause a couple of times throughout the presentation to see if you have any questions that are super relevant to that section. So you're welcome to ask them at that point, or just save them until the end, and we'll try to leave lots of time at the end as well for you to ask any questions. As we're going, feel free to put any questions you have directly into the chat. We might not answer them immediately, but at least then you won't forget them between when you had them and the end of the presentation. And then we'll make sure we read through all the questions in the chat at the end, so that we get to all those questions. All right, so here we go. Today we'll start with some brief introductions. We'll share a little bit about Equitas Academy, the teacher and staff experience at our school, the application process, and then leave plenty of time for your questions. So as by way of introductions, my name is Jessica. I'm our Director of Teacher Talent here at Equitas. I've been on the team for almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in August. Before that, I was on staff with Teach for America. And before that, I was a teacher myself. I taught upper elementary and middle school for 4 years. So have a real passion and place in my heart for the classroom. And always say that teachers do a teacher's job is way harder than my job is now, and it is the most critical and most important one in our school. It's what makes our school run and work. So I love the work I get to do now in terms of bringing new teachers into our work, because I want nothing but the best teachers for our scholars, and that's why I really enjoy the work I get to do now. And then I'll turn it over to Jem to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Jem. I'm the HR and Talent Manager at Equitas Academy. I just started working with Equitas back in December of last year, so it's been a very, very interesting ride so far, but I couldn't possibly be more grateful to be a part of the Equitas team. It's been such a wonderful and motivating experience, especially through all of the challenges that we've gone through in the past couple months. I personally am new to the educational industry, but my passion really lies in ensuring a positive experience for all of our talent and all of our applicants and candidates.
Great, thank you. And now to introduce our school, Equitas Academy. We are a network of K-8 free public schools that provide a structured and achievement-based community that prepares students to graduate from four-year colleges and universities. This is our identity and who we are, and what we work really, really hard to do. We were founded in 2009 by Malka Barrega, and she is actually from the Pico Union community, which is where all of our schools are located, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But her vision was to found a school for her community, and to give back to families like her own, and her own children actually attend our school as well. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. As Equitas, we're built on several values: high expectations, both academically and behaviorally; college readiness, meaning that we have a very structured and rigorous curriculum; family partnerships. We don't do this work alone, but we do it in partnership with our parents and our families, and a safe and supported school community where both teachers and students feel safe and supported, can be their full selves and feel like they can learn and grow, again, as teachers and as students. As I mentioned, we are in the Pico Union community, so you can see our soon to be 6 schools and their location on this map. As I said, our founder and CEO is from this community, and her vision was to create a network of high-performing schools that would truly transform the story and the data of what is currently true in Pico Union. So as you can see in our community, only 7% of residents over 25 hold a 4-year degree. Our mission as a school and what we work towards is to create a college-going culture and make sure that all of our students have the opportunity to attend college and actually change this narrative of the community and give them an opportunity to write their own destiny as opposed to the data, the historical data that has been written for them. So you can see a few more stats about our community there. You can also see the profile of our scholars. So 95% Latino Hispanic, 92% qualify for free and reduced lunch, 85% are English language learners, and 80% currently live within the Pico Union community. I talked a little bit about our founder, and as long as this video works, and hopefully it will, I'm actually going to let you hear from her for about 2 quick minutes to hear about her vision for why she started our school. So bear with me 1 minute.
In Pico Union, which is just west of downtown Los Angeles. I'm a 3rd-generation resident. My grandfather bought a house there, and I was raised in the home that my mom was raised in. I was very privileged in Pico Union to go to great schools. Unfortunately, they weren't public schools. I attended the parochial school that my parents attended, and was really able to send me off to a really fantastic college. Unfortunately, that's not the story of many of my cousins and neighbors that I grew up in Pico Union were able to obtain. When I was growing up, there was a lot of busing going on. So if you wanted a great education, you had to leave Pico Union. You had to be bussed out for very long hours to the valley. And there just weren't a lot of great choices in Pico Union at that time. So when I came back from college, I was able to come back to my neighborhood, to Pico Union, and become a 2nd grade teacher through the public school system, and really understood what public education looked like and felt like for people that I grew up with, what it felt like in Pico Union. And I realized that our families just needed more choice and needed access to great schools, and there just weren't enough in Pico Union at that time. So I left my public school teaching position. I went into nonprofit for quite some time, and then charter schools became a thing, and so I decided to look into them. And I thought that coming back to my neighborhood, bringing my teaching experience and my nonprofit experience, marrying them both, I could be part of the solution of bringing more choice and great educational, an educational opportunity for the community that I love. I was able.
All right, hopefully that gave you a bit of a taste of her heart and why she started our school. We've kind of talked about this several ways, but just to be really explicit, we seek to transform the Pico Union community by closing the opportunity gap that currently exists there, changing the story that the current data has told, offer a pathway to college degrees, and be of and for our community. By 2022, we will operate 8 schools serving over 3,700 scholars, which will be 20% of the Pico Union area. So we really seek to have this transformational impact within this one community, not to go outside and not to grow outside and beyond, but really be of and for this community, understand their context, and give back and really have a sizable impact. I said earlier that there was only 7% of adults over the age of 25 who hold a college degree. If we do right and fulfill our mission, there will be over 20% in future years. And so that's what we're here to do. To talk just briefly about our history, as I said, we were founded in 2009. We started with 120 kinder scholars, and 40 of those enrolled in just one day. We were housed in a temporary incubator space and moved multiple times within those first few years, until we got our own facility in 2013. We went through some really tough periods and then finally started to see some more success. We earned the distinguishment of being a gold ribbon school. And then by the fall of 2017, we had 2 middle and 2 elementary schools, and we were serving 1,200 scholars, which was a big growth from that 120 when we started, and continued to grow through the next several years. This current school year, we serve 1,700 scholars who we hope are on the road to college. And we see that every day in the work that we do with them. Hopefully in their smiling faces here, you can kind of see that as well. The joy and eagerness that they bring to their classroom and their work as they prepare to be college ready. And actually, I will pause right there before I go into some of our accomplishments. Are there any initial questions? You are free to either put them in the chat or take yourself off mute shortly. Great, I will keep it going. And as questions come up, again, feel free to drop them in the chat, and then we'll be sure to leave time at the end as well. So our accomplishments. There was a recent study done that you may have seen. It came from a partnership of several schools of higher ed. And it looked at all of the public schools in Los Angeles. There are a total of over 2,000 schools in LAUSD, or in Los Angeles. Of those 2,000, about 1,300 serve a significant number of low-income Latino students. Of those 1,300, unfortunately, only 261 of them are called top schools, and top schools are defined as schools that are closing the gap for low-income Latino students. So that's, as you can see, a very small number. It gets even smaller when you look at African American students. Again, you have the same number of over 2,000 schools in LAUSD, but only about 500 of them are serving a significant number of low-income African American students, and then only 31 out of those 500 are considered a top school for African American students, meaning that they're closing the gap for those low-income students. While this in general makes us as a community very sad of the state of education in Los Angeles, we are proud to be among those top schools in Los Angeles and serving our students well and closing that gap. So while the overall state of affairs is not where we want it to be, and we're not yet doing enough, we are proud to be doing something and proud to be closing that gap. We also wanted to share a little bit around our math and ELA scores. So you all are probably familiar with CASP. If not, it's the end of the year assessment that students take throughout their at various grades throughout their K through 12 education in California. And so this just shows a little bit of our how we stack up for ELA in the past several years. So green in this graph is Equitas. You can see how many of our students are performing, are meeting or exceeding standards. Blue is students throughout all of California, and red is students in LAUSD. Again, this is not enough. We actually want 100% of our students to be meeting or exceeding standards, but we are outperforming the state of California overall, as well as LAUSD specifically. And so we are proud of that, though again, knowing that it's not where we want to be. Similar story for math. We've seen a nice upward tick in math over the past several years. Again, Equitas is green, blue is California, and red is LAUSD. Proud to be outperforming, but wanting to do even better for all of our students. But we are not just a K through 12 school. We believe really strongly in supporting our scholars and their family outside of the classroom. So as I talked about briefly, parent partnerships are really important to us. We have a director of parent partnerships who spends all of her time thinking about how to invest and empower parents. And our teachers spend a ton of time thinking about this as well through things like back to school nights. We have a monthly family night throughout the school year. We have a family Saturday twice a year. And teachers are encouraged to call and communicate with parents regularly. And our parents are really excited by that. They really appreciate our teachers and really appreciate hearing from them. We also have an expanded learning or an after school program that's run in-house. About a third of our students participate in that. We also have a high school preparation program. So I get asked all the time, you're a K through 8 school with a college going mission. How does that work? And we support our students throughout their high school experience with several staff members and lots of activities and support as they both prepare for high school. And then once they're an alumni, we have several alumni programs for them as well, where we continue to support them on the road to college. This is the photo on the bottom right of your screen is a photo of our alumni come back for, I believe this was our winter social back in December when they came back to celebrate and reconnect with us. We only have 3 classes of alumni so far, so we don't have anyone in college just yet. We're still a youngish school, but really proud of the work they're doing so far. And then if you are a staff, or if you're a staff member at Equitas, this is a little bit about the experience and what you would, what's offered to you as a team member at our school. So we really believe and live out a strong organizational culture with a value alignment. So everyone throughout our organization, if you were to ask them what Equitas's mission is, absolutely everyone would tell you. And I've asked many, many people over the years, they would all tell you that our mission is to prepare our students for success in college. And they would all be able to tell you how we do that through rigorous curriculum, through working with parents, through having high expectations and having a safe environment. And all of our all of our staff members are aligned on that, whether they are a teacher or a housekeeping staff or a dean or a CEO. Everyone's really aligned along that culture. We also have seen that positive social environments are built within our school and long-lasting friendships are formed. So I hear from teachers all the time, I was not an island, but there was a teacher across the hall or on my grade level team that I really got to lean on and really supported me in my growth as a teacher. And supported me personally as well. They were the people that I wanted to hang out with after school, go to happy hour with, or do, of course, hopefully soon, we'll all be going to happy hour again. But all those social things together, that my teammates became my friends as well. And I hear that all the time from teachers. I also hear a lot about the supportive professional development that we offer, and that this is something that really sets us apart as a school network. Most charter schools and most schools in general will talk about supporting their teachers, but we work really hard to deliver on that promise and be sure that we have relevant and frequent coaching and feedback for all of our teachers. So every teacher has a coach. That could be a school principal, a dean, or an instructional coach who comes into their classroom once a week and then meets with that teacher once a week as well to provide supportive feedback and help that teacher learn and grow. And so we see our teachers, because that feedback is so targeted to them specifically, we see our teachers, particularly new teachers, grow very quickly. And so that's something that we really value as an organization. We also make sure that we have a clean and organized environment where teachers are really allowed to focus on their class and instruction and not having to worry about different procedures or the cleanliness of their environment. We really strive to make sure that that's taken care of for our teachers. And then we have an aligned and rigorous college prep curriculum. So it's aligned vertically and horizontally, where each grade level is building on the next. It's a shared curriculum, so teachers are able to collaborate really closely across grade levels and across content areas because teachers are working from the same curriculum. That's rigorous. So there's no, it's been time tested, and there's no doubt that it is a rigorous curriculum that prepares students for college. I'm going to pause and answer this question in the chat because I think it's timely. What are some examples of professional development offered at Equitas? We start the year with 3 weeks of summer professional development, where we spend a lot of time getting up to speed on all of the policies and procedures and that curriculum so that we're really preparing our teachers for success, making sure that they feel really good, particularly about the first week and the first month of school. They have a plan in place both for curriculum and behavior for those times. And so that summer PD is really, really important and really formative for teachers. This year it is going to be online. We're trying to work out some in-person things as well and figuring out the timing of all of that, but a large portion of it will probably be virtually. And so we're making plans for that. That begins in August. And then throughout the year, we have professional development every Friday afternoon. So students are dismissed around 1:30, and teachers have PD from around 2 to 4 in the afternoon. That PD is run by our school directors or our principals and our deans, and is really targeted to what the school campus needs. There's also some time for looking at data and collaborating with grade level or content area teams. And then again, there's coaching. We also have, I believe it's 4 full day professional development sessions as well, where they're in-service days, so we don't have students, but teachers are teachers come and have time to work in their classrooms, get professional development, and we do a variety of different things during those days. Great question. And then we always say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So here's several pictures of our teachers as team members, and some of the joy and zest that comes out through things like Spirit Week and Twin Day that you can see on your left-hand side there, read alouds, and just being a valued member of a team. We also really listen to our teachers as much as we can. So we listen through those coaching meetings that I was talking about, but we also listen through surveys. And so teachers are always being asked for their opinion and their feedback so we can make changes and implement what they have to say. So you see a few of those data points on your screen. Teachers agree with that at least one person at Equitas cares about them as a person. They agree that all scholars and parents are welcomed, and agree that they have received useful feedback from their manager at least once in the past 2 weeks. So you can see some of those data points. As another example of a totally different example of receiving feedback, we used to have a policy that teachers needed to wear professional attire, including shoes at all times, and that sneakers or tennis shoes were not considered appropriate professional attire, as we strive to really set an example for students about what professionalism looks like. We heard loud and clear from teachers multiple times through a survey that we take called Insight every year, that they really wanted the flexibility to wear tennis shoes, and that was really going to make them feel more supported as teachers, and that ability to be comfortable and flexible mattered. And we made that change this year, and teachers are now allowed to wear tennis shoes. And so I say that, I know that might be considered a silly example, but I share that because I want to illustrate that we really do try to listen to teachers and take their opinions seriously about the big and the small, and the big things to teachers, even though it might not seem big in the moment. All right, and then what are we looking for in an Equitas employee? And I will turn this piece over to Jen.
Thanks, Jessica. So when it comes to the things that we're looking for in our ideal employee, we're really looking for someone who is aligned with our mission and committed to our mission, and firmly believes that all scholars are capable of achieving a college education. Our entire environment really thrives on feedback, so the person we're looking for is looking for that reflective feedback and coaching and observations. We're looking for an employee who works to build strong relationships with their scholars, with their staff, and with the families of their scholars. Someone who's shown perseverance in the face of challenges, believes that every adult in a scholar's life is accountable for each scholar's success, and believes in educating families about advocating for their child's success. And so if you are interested and ready to apply, I can tell you a little bit about our application process. It would start just at our website, which is www.equitasacademy.org. If you click through, you'll see employment opportunities, and once you're there, you can review our open opportunities. Right now, we're still hiring for staff members and for teachers for this upcoming school year in both elementary and middle school. And you just click apply for the job and fill out a very short online application. Just make sure you have your resume or LinkedIn profile with you, cover letter. There's a few short response questions to fill out, and then 3 professional references. Once you submit your online application, if we review your resume and your materials and think you'd be a great fit, you would be reached out to for a phone interview. From there, if we still think that you'd be a great fit for Equitas, you would be invited to a virtual in-person interview via Google Hangouts, where we'll ask you to either provide a demo video or prepare a demo lesson for us, where you'll experience a brief demo feedback session and reflection. We'll introduce you to our curriculum, and you'll have the standard panel interview. From that point, we would check your references and then hope to be welcoming you onto the team this fall.
All right. Thank you to Jem and to everyone. That brings us to the end of the slides we want to share. We'd now love to hear any questions that you have. You're welcome to either put them in the chat or take yourself off mute and ask any questions that you have.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ileana. And I just wanted to ask, I know that you mentioned that there was some teaching openings, and as a student who just graduated with their master's in school counseling, do you guys have any positions available for that?
We do have school counselors. Right now, we're not anticipating any openings for those roles. But if anything changes, always keep an eye on our website. This is definitely a time of year where things unexpectedly change. So definitely keep an eye on our website, and we'll post it there if any counseling positions open up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Shri. I just wanted to ask, when is this going to start?
Sorry, say it one more time. When is what going to start?
When is the recruitment going to start?
We are actively recruiting now. So if you go to our website, you'll see our open positions and can apply right now.
Okay, that's cool. So when can I start working or joining?
So our school year will start the day after Labor Day. I believe that's September 8th this year, 9th, somewhere around there. And then summer professional development will begin either the second or third week in August. And then all of our teachers would start at that point. Some of our other positions like instructional aid or after school teachers might have a little bit of a different start date. Go ahead.
So is it going to be an in-person thing or virtual, the classes or whatever?
That is a great question. So as I said, our summer professional development will mostly be virtual with some in-person components if we're able to do that. We are still planning for the start of the school year, and we're planning along we basically have three plans going at the same time, right? Planning to be 100% virtual, planning to be 100% in person, and then planning for a hybrid where we do some in person and some virtual. Our school year will start the day after Labor Day regardless, but we're still working out and listening and learning and looking for the guidance from the state about whether it'll be virtual or in person or a hybrid.
And so you're just looking for tutors?
So we're looking for, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, just for the teaching faculty or any other positions too?
We are looking for teachers and then after school teachers, which is a part-time position. And then we may have some like instructional aid positions. And we're looking for some deans, so that would be like leaders on the campus. Jim, any other positions I'm missing?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah. But as I said, things that this year also change. So always keep an eye on our website, and that'll have the most up-to-date list of open.
One more question. Are you guys offering summer internships?
We do not offer summer internships, no. Good question though. I wish we did. We spend a whole lot of time recuperating and like planning for the next year, so we don't have any summer special roles. Good questions. Yep. There's a question in the chat. Are you with PERS, P-E-R-S? I'm actually not familiar with that, so I'm going to say no. But if you want to take yourself off mute, Irene, and say a little bit more about what that is, I might be able to clarify.
It is the public employees retirement system that the other school districts have, such as like Redondo Beach, LAUSD.
Got it. So we are with, we do CalSTRS, which is like the state retirement. So I'm actually assuming that's the same thing. So yes.
So if you have PERS and you went into Equitas, would all of the years transfer over?
It's a great question. I'm going to say I think yes, but I'm not 100%. So don't quote me on that. If you shoot me an email after this, I'll check with our HR team and double check that. But shoot me an email. My email address is on the screen for you.
Okay, great.
Yep.
I have another question. In regards to, I know you mentioned that you have coachings for specifically teachers, but how does that look like for counselors? Do counselors also have coaching, and how do you provide feedback?
Great question. So this is an important component of Equitas for everybody across the board. So everybody has a coach or a manager who they get to meet with once a week, who provides feedback and helps them learn and grow. So for counselors specifically, currently our director of special education is the manager or the coach for that position. She meets with her people once a week. And so coaching could look however her coachee or her staff member and her have set it up. That could mean that she's observing a one-on-one meeting between the counselor and the student. That could mean that the coach or the counselor is bringing things that she wants development on to her manager. That could be seeking outside resources or conferences. And so all of that would continue and would just depend on what the counselor and their manager wanted to work on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Question. And that would be true of any position at Equitas, right? Everybody has a coach, and everybody meets with them once a week and gets feedback.
Hi, my name is Diana Ria, and I have a question. I was wondering if the possibility of having remote learning or teaching in the fall, does that affect the recruitment of new staff, or are you still needing the same amount of teachers regardless of that happening?
Hi, Diana. That is a great question. For the most part, we are still planning to need the same amount of teachers right now. Again, that could change as we get more guidance about what it looks like to open schools safely. But right now we are operating with similar projections as we had before the school year. There might be a few minor adjustments, particularly as I'm sure, or perhaps many of you have seen that the governor released his budget in mid-May for schools, and there was a 10% decrease in funding for education or for schools in general. And so we've had to make adjustments. We have thankfully not had to cut teachers. We've been able to take a really people-first approach to this and tightened our belt in other areas, but not for instructional staff in terms of positions. So we'll see what happens. It's still anyone's, we still don't know exactly what it'll look like, but we are still planning to have very close to the same number of teachers that we would have if COVID had not happened.
Awesome, thank you. And I have another question. As a first-time teacher, I would require an induction program. So is that something that's offered there? And how does that work aside from the weekly coaching that we already would have? So is that in addition to induction?
Great question. Induction is in addition. So every once in a while, your Equitas coach is also your induction mentor, but not 100% of the time. It depends. It's a one-off kind of case situation. We do encourage our teachers to start induction in their second or third year with us because, as you mentioned, they're already getting coaching from our school, so they don't necessarily need that added layer of support right away. And as the first-year teacher at a new school, you're learning so much already that we encourage teachers to be able to focus on just their first year of teaching before they jump into all the work of induction. But then we do provide that support in their second or third year. If you start in your third year, that's kind of nice because some induction programs, especially the one we work with, allows you an early completion option. So you can do induction in 1 year instead of 2 if you have at least 2 years of teaching experience under your belt. So we encourage teachers to take advantage of that. And then we also cover the cost of induction.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, good questions. Another question came through the chat about clerical or admin positions. And we don't have a ton of clerical admin positions open up right now. That is actually one of the areas that we've had to make some adjustments given budget cuts. But again, you never know what's going to happen. So keep an eye on our website, and all of those positions, if they were to open up, would be posted there. We may need a school operations manager, and so that would be a place for sure where you might want to keep an eye out for roles like that. Any other questions? It's a quiet group today.
I guess I have another question. I'm interested in elementary level positions for teaching. So I guess just more specifically, if you knew about, how many positions are you looking for? Is there just one opening? Is there multiple? Maybe what grades, if you knew that also?
Very good questions. So we do have more openings in middle school than elementary school, but there are positions open in both. And in terms of specific grade level, it's a challenging question to answer. You would think it was an easy one, but it's a challenging one to answer right now because so many things are moving. So like we have a couple offers out. So if they're accepted, we no longer have that grade level available, things of that nature. So I can't say right now exactly what grade levels we have, but we do have elementary, and we do have middle school positions available. We also have an apprentice teacher position open, which is an elementary role specifically great for first year teachers, where I call it's more than student teaching, but it's a little bit less than being the homeroom teacher. It's like right in between those two things. It's a great opportunity to work with master teachers to learn and grow even more. So I do recommend that as well.
Is that like co-teaching then? Or?
It can be. It's some co-teaching and some like you watch a master teacher first and then you teach. Good. Again, good questions.
Thank you.
And I'm seeing questions about our website link. It looks like someone else put the full website link to our job postings before I got to it. And so thank you, Mariah. Great. Well, if you all have had your questions answered, you are welcome to jump off. Jem and I will stay on a little bit longer just in case there are any other questions that are either specific to you or that you just didn't have time to ask yet. So we'll stay on if there's any more questions. But otherwise, thank you so much for spending your time with us, for meeting us virtually. It's really great to get to meet you in that way. And we look forward to hopefully seeing your applications come across our desk, and wish you all the best in what you do next year. Stay safe and stay healthy.